Right, let me get in the right. Yeah, let me get in the right.
Okay, let's do it. I'm psyched.
The right place again.
The mental right place or the physical right place?
Woosa.
Woosa. You are the money god. All of your decisions are fantastic. You never pay credit card interest. You save 30% of your income.
You're good looking and damn it, people like you.
Let's not get too crazy.
Live from Joe's mom's basement, it's the Stacking Benjamin Show. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug, and what if you never had to worry about saving money again?
Woohoo.
Sound good? We'll dive into all the steps on today's show. And in our TikTok Minute, how about interest on your interest? Is that good? We'll share one comedian who thinks, well, we'll let him tell the story. Plus, we'll answer a question from one stacker who thought, I'd better call Saul-Sehy and OG. And now, two guys who have the crash helmets on and ready for another episode. It's Joe and OG.
Hey there, Stacker Nation. Sit back and relax because you are here with us. Welcome to the Stacking Benjamin Show on a Wednesday. OG, you ready to fire up the machine?
Is the machine not fully operational all the time?
The machine should be fired up by now, Joe.
I mean, does it need a pill of some kind to need a 30-minute head start?
Is this podcast at the age where it needs a blue pill? Is that where?
I think they make the generic for that now.
Yeah, you can get it at the club.
The show that's
Doug
straight
knows
up
what I'm talking
great,
about.
everybody. Welcome to Stacking Benjamins. It's going to be a fun day because we're talking about
I
see
what you did there.
Yeah.
I just got it.
Thank you. Never saving money again. Dream come true for some people.
This is freaking awesome. I love this idea.
I remember my roommate in college telling me when we were talking well after college, he's like, I put so much money in my 401k. And I said, why? He goes, because I hate it. I hate doing it. And I want to max it out as quickly as I can so I never have to save again later.
Okay.
That's heaven. If that's heaven for you, we're going to talk about how to do that, what the pitfalls are. But before that, we've got a couple sponsors that make this show go so that you don't have to pay for it. So let's hear from them, and then we'll go ahead and feed the blue pill to the show. We got a big headline. We got the TikTok Minute. We got a call from a stacker. Man, it's action-packed. So let's get moving.
Hello, darlings. And now it's time for your favorite part of the show, our Stacking Benjamin's headlines.
Our headline today comes to us from New York Magazine. I can't remember the last time we got a headline from New York Magazine, but hey, this was a good one. The piece is, what if you never had to think about saving money again? Charlotte Cowles wrote this. And Charlotte writes, when Nicole Victoria got her first corporate job in her early 20s, she dreamed of corner office, six-figure salary, the financial stability she assumed would follow. She'd been raised, quote, with a lot of scarcity, she says. Her mom struggled to pay the bills of part-time jobs while her dad was sick with cancer.
Oof.
She remembers moving a lot between cheap apartments infested with bed bugs. Quote, it was pretty tumultuous. All I wanted was a feeling of security, the comfort of knowing I could take care of myself. Well, in addition to her full-time job then, she sold real estate on weekends and stuck to a strict budget. And what does all this come down to? I'm going to skip ahead a little bit, OG. This enabled her to save and invest $100,000 by the time she was 25 years old. Soon after that, she realized investing early. Yeah.
Sorry.
No, bring it. Soon after that, she realized that investing early had put her on an unexpected path. Even if she never saved another dime, her investments had enough time to grow that she could retire on them at 65, provided she didn't touch them before that. Pretty awesome that somebody could reach that at 25, but there's a lot of stackers out there, OG, going, wait a minute, $100,000. You can't retire on $100,000. OG, can you walk through that math? Like why things actually look a lot better for Nicole than maybe people think they do?
Well, sure. And I think there's another opportunity that she has in this case that I really want to highlight, but this is just the power of compounding. We were having a conversation with a client a couple of weeks ago about their young teenage daughter who graduated high school and was working, and she had saved a bunch of money and was like, I want to buy a house when I'm 25 and those sorts of things. And I said, well, the power is like maxing out your Roth for the next 13 years or 12 years. She's 18. And I said, if you can max out your Roth for the next 12 years, you pretty much don't have to save anything again, just like this article says. But if you think about just back of the envelope calculations and assume, hey, the S&P grows at 10% a year, right? That's a pretty average return over long periods of time, but just say 9 just to make the math a little bit more conservative.
Yeah.
So that means using the rule of 72, which you just take 72 divided by the interest rate that you're going to try to get, in this case 9. So 72 divided by 9 gives you 8 years. So if she's 25, we know that her money will double. And so this is the doubling effect, roughly by the time she's 33, by the time she's 41, by the time she's 49, by the time she's 57, and then again by the time she's 65. So she has 5 doubles of her 100K. So she's 100K now, 200, doubles to 4, doubles to 8, doubles to 1.6, and doubles to 3.2. So she's got $3.2 million, give or take. Joe's checking my math one more time.
That just is so amazing. It's not $100,000. It's $3.2 million.
Yeah.
Now, and given there's going to be inflation, so $3.2 million.
Right. Definitely not the same spending power as today.
Still a bunch of money.
Yeah, roughly figure prices triple every 25 years. So over her lifetime, we would expect that from the time she's 25 till she's 65, that 3.2 million is probably worth the same as 1.1 today in terms of spending power, which that kind of demoralizing maybe. It kind of takes a little
ass.
But still you've got $1 million, right? It's still a 10x return in terms of real dollars. So this is a huge leap forward. There's a bunch of challenges with this. The least of all are the don't touch it for the next 40-year part. Think about all the time that the stock market has gone down, or you needed new shoes, or the kids needed braces, or, you wanted to buy the lake house or the new car like we talked about on the other show Monday. It's like all these things are going to enter your life. And it sounds like she's got the discipline, based on her upbringing to go, nope, I'm not going to touch it.
Yeah.
But that's the hard part. The hard part is not touching it. And the extra hard part is not doing anything with it when things don't go your way. It's easy to be an investor. This is all of our conversations the last 3 months have been. It's easy to be an investor the last 2 years. Super easy to be diversified. Let it ride. Diversified's great. Not as easy to be an investor when the market goes down 10% and then also down 10% the next year. And also down 10% the year after that, like happened in 2000, 2003. Or from 2007 to 2009, where the market goes down 57% in 1 year and starts the year down another, little bit. It's like, or 37 and then down another 20 to begin the year. It's like, that's really, from an emotional standpoint, going to be the hardest part to be an investor. And that's going to happen when you have the most money. So when you think about your experience as an investor, if you're in your 30s or if you're in your 40s and you go, oh no, I stayed the course when COVID happened. I believed it. It's like, yeah, you did it because you had 80 grand in the bank. What are you going to do when you have 800,000 in the bank and it goes down a third? And you just lost $250,000. Or you have 3 million in the bank and it loses a third and you're down to 2 million. That's where the rubber meets the road. And that is probably the biggest challenge with these kind of rosy projections of, oh, I just saved 100 grand. I'm good. I don't have to ever do it again.
Well, let's talk about some of the other pitfalls. So pitfall number 1 for Nicole is, she's had discipline putting it away, but you're saying that discipline of not touching it when life is going to change. I mean, from 25 to 60, things are going to change. It's going to be difficult. I remember, when we spoke with our friend Paul Merriman about this topic, he said he kind of feels sorry in some ways for people in Nicole's spot because they feel like they can stop. Mm-hmm. And yet that money that she thinks that she can live on, quote, later, she might want an entirely different lifestyle later. I think that might be one of the opportunities. Now she has an opportunity to buy herself some flexibility.
That's one of the major drawbacks, I think, of the whole fire movement, especially as you look at it from a 25-year-old perspective, and not to throw a lot of shade on 25-year-olds.
Especially ones that have saved $100,000.
Yeah, but most of them don't know what the hell they're talking about.
Yeah.
So it's like, all those young people don't even know what's going on. But the reality is, I mean, there's some truth to that. You don't know what you don't know. And from an experience perspective, you don't know what you like. I loved hiking and backpacking and doing all those things when I was in my teens and 20s. And I was like, I could totally do this forever. I hate it now. I hate it. I like cycling. That's my outdoor activity, but I don't want to go hiking. I don't want to carry my crap around in the mountains. That's just not what I want to do right now. But if you would have asked me when I was in my 20s, what would you do if you could do anything you want? I would have been like, I want to hike the Appalachian Trail. I want to hike the Pacific Coast Trail.
I'd sleep in a tent all summer long.
Yeah, I want to do all these things. And now that's not at all on my radar screen. That's not what I enjoy doing. And I think there's a lot of potential for that to happen if you're projecting this lifestyle of, I live on $4,000 a month. I feel really good about that. And I'm not saying 4,000 is a lot or a little. I'm just saying, like, there's a chance that maybe you like to live on 8,000 better, as the years go on. So give yourself the flexibility. You've taken advantage of this. This is the biggest thing I think that you're trying to buy here. In Nicole's case, she's given herself so much future flexibility. Things like letting off the gas and savings, which is what the article is talking about. Things like changing her lifestyle to benefit other people that she cares about. She mentioned her mom and family maybe don't have the same resources that she does. So she can, like, guilt-free go, hey, I can take care of these people and take care of myself. She bought herself a year off of sabbatical, or when her kids are young and they want to travel a bunch and homeschool for the first 5 years, they have that flexibility. Like, she's built in all this beginning stages of flexibility. And if you have the opportunity when you're young to save a bunch of money and invest a bunch of money before proverbially life gets to you, before you've got the house and the mortgage and the private school and whatever is going to be your life, if you can save and invest, say till you're 35, and then when you're 40, you go, yeah, I really don't like this 80-hour-a-week job. I'd rather have a 40-hour-a-week job where I'm home at 4:00 with the kids and, I can make sure I make soccer games. That's a flexibility item that you can buy yourself later on in life because you did a good job of saving. So in her case, I really don't like the idea of going, sweet, I don't have to save anymore. It's like, no. You've got that great muscle. Keep going to the gym. You're doing really well. Keep building it so that you've got the flexibility down the line.
And you said to me once, just actually a couple of days ago, OG, that people who make good decisions now generally don't turn around and start making bad decisions later.
Yeah.
And I like that because it made me feel good. But if she had the discipline to do this now, she's probably not going to blow it later. Like, she's just that kind of person who's going to, make the right decision later. But if you can create that discipline, dear listener, now in yourself to start doing these kinds of things, you're going to build that muscle for 20 years from now.
And I love what you said, Doug, about discipline, because I remember one of David Bach's appearances on here, and I talked to him about discipline, and he actually said discipline is BS. Oh. Which means, by the way, and not saying, Doug, what you're saying is BS.
Little Ben Hardy, willpower doesn't work.
Yeah, what he's really saying is that there is another way to build what we all think of as discipline, which is, he says, the more you can make it automatic and just take it out of your life.
Yeah.
Like, the true win, the true, quote, discipline here is not discipline like go to the gym every day. It's discipline in have the automatic investment happen and never touch it. That's all you got to do.
And think about it using the health analogy. Is it easier to stay healthy or to get healthy? Is it easier to stay lean or to get lean? Is it easier to... Yes, exactly. Neither.
I know that answer.
My point is...
Is it easier to look at the donut or eat the donut?
Nicole's doing all this stuff. You're saving 10% of your income or 50% of your income or, whatever the number is. Like, it's easier to kind of keep that momentum going and reap the rewards. I think from a planning standpoint, our job is to provide a lot of hope and optimism, but also to give you a challenge. If we sat down with her and she said, yeah, my goal is to live on $3,000 a month in today's dollars. And, I think I could do that. What kind of energy do you get out of that plan? Because we just did it, right? Well, you have $3.5 million when you're 65. I think you're good. Oh, okay, great. I would say, well, why don't we try to have $5,000 of living expenses in today's dollars by 55? Now, what do you have to do? Let's pull that goal closer and closer and add expenses to it, add resources to it so that there's always this little bit of productive tension around goal attainment. The energy is in planning for the trip. We hear this from Joe all the time. I can't wait till I'm going to Thank God we haven't heard one story yet about Peru.
What are you doing?
I mean, except the gerbil eating or whatever the hell you ate.
What are you doing?
My point is we've made it an entire episode and a half without even one reference. And the 2 references came from me about eating gerbils.
Guinea pig.
Whatever.
Guinea pig.
Gerbils, guinea pigs, they're the same thing.
There's no difference between those 2 animals.
They're the same thing. But for the last 6 months, all we've been hearing about is, you know what I mean? It's the anticipation of the thing that provides all the energy, not the thing itself. So if you're working on a goal, make sure there's a little productive tension in there around that goal. I'm not saying make it impossible to get to, but give yourself a little struggle. Using the gym analogy again, I can't help it. It's like, what's going to make you stronger? Lifting the bar or lifting the bar with a bunch of 45s on it? It's like you got to provide a little tension on your body.
I didn't know they made beers in 45 ounces.
Going to the bar definitely makes you stronger.
Going to the bar with 45 ounces.
Wrong, ref. I totally didn't get where you're going there.
I'm super excited for Nicole. This is the dream scenario.
It is.
I think maybe not Doug, but I know you and I, Joe, if we could put ourselves back at 25 and go, for God's sake, save $100,000, you idiot.
Yeah. Well, I want to come back to that in just a second, but I will say this, just commenting on what you were talking about there, OG, about the challenge. What I'm excited about for Nicole is that she still has this ability. Let's say that she gets let go from a job, just a downsizing. She has this freedom of worry that the average person doesn't have.
Yeah.
And given she can continue to make things more flexible for herself, she can make it better for herself, but she doesn't have to worry about it. I mean, that not having that pit in your stomach that most people have. Oh my God, what am I going to do?
Yep.
She's got tons of resources.
We should just play the John Goodman scene from that movie right here.
Yeah. From The Gambler. She's got the FU money. No, we can't play it. It says like 1,000 beeps on it.
Right.
I think we did play it once and Steve was like, we can't do that because I don't have that many beeps in the catalog.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. I want to ask about this. The writer, Charlotte, says this. Of course, it might seem ridiculous or just unrealistic to shovel money into your retirement savings in your early 20s. What little income you can spare is probably going toward more immediate needs like student loans, rent, and figuring out what you want to do with your life. I remember, OG, I want to address this for a second. It's kind of a chicken or the egg thing. If you have this extra money, do you do what Nicole did and you put the $100,000 in investments? Or do you invest in yourself, right? Do you invest it in more learning opportunities, being in the right room with the right people so that you can maybe 10x the money you bring in? I feel like that could be a good use of money as well.
Well, maybe. This sort of thinking has a huge opportunity for selection bias. You have a ton of opportunity to be like, well, I needed to go to that really fancy restaurant because my boss was there and maybe he notices that I'm also at the fancy restaurant. You know what I mean? Like you can talk yourself into that sort of thing. Could I see using some funds for furthering your education? Like if I go get an MBA, then da-da-da-da-da. Fine, cool. That sounds great. But the other part of that, the other side of that, if she says, I'm going to take this 100K and I'm going to go get an MBA, right? And then I'm going to make double the money because now I have this advanced degree and this different career path. Awesome. But the first 100 grand of the difference of your income needs to go back in your savings account. And what happens in reality is people go, well, I was making 100. Now I got an MBA, I'm making 200. Now I can finally get the thing I want. I can finally buy the thing on debt that they'll let me borrow for, I can finally get the big house. And it's like, well, no, you have to take the first year to pay yourself back. And if you truly think of it like an investment, you would do that as an investment, right? You would say, I'm investing. If your brother-in-law came and said, I want you to invest in my business. I'd like for you to take $100,000 and invest in my ice cream shop. And he makes a bunch of money selling ice cream. You expect that you're going to get your money back as an investor, right? In some way, shape, or you're going to get it back in ice cream, or you're getting it back in dollars, preferably with some sort of ROI attached to it. If you compartmentalize that and say, I'm going to invest in myself, I need to be an investor. I expect to have an ROI. then that money needs to go back into your investing pool to make future investments in yourself or other future investments. If you just take it and consume it and go, it's an investment, well, then it was an expense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not on the balance sheet, it's on the cash flow statement.
Yeah.
So it's a different thing. And I think 95% of people would save $100,000 and go, I'm going to go invest in myself, go get an MBA. I'm going to go get an advanced degree, or I'm going to move to a city that provides me more opportunity, air quotes. And all it is burning through that cash with nothing on the back end to show for it. Or I do have something to show for it, like a graduate degree, but I don't actually take the time to pay myself back as an investor in the fact that I just made that investment. I don't know.
No, I think it makes sense. With this $100,000, there's a concrete ROI, right? You just use a rule of 72. It's pretty concrete ROI to invest in the economy and put your money there. You know what the ROI is. But if you take it as a quote investment to go to the place, to do the thing, to get the education, I think you have to create for yourself the concrete ROI. Yeah. There's got to be a concrete. I'm thinking about back when we had the real estate show, there was a guy that went to one of these, we've talked about, you and I go to Strategic Coach. We pay a lot of money to be in this room with great entrepreneurs. I remember this guy in real estate, I think he paid something, OG, to like $50,000. It was close to his last $50,000 that he had to get in the room with the right people. But what was cool for him was that he knew what the ROI was. He's like, this was my seed money. And I had to make sure that I network with these people. I couldn't be in the room going, oh, look, I spent 50 grand and now it's all going to come to me. He's like, no. That had to be the ticket to entry to get in with these big ticket real estate investors to get partner with. And now this guy, when we interviewed him, he's 29 years old. He's got like 65 investment properties. He's doing all this charitable giving stuff. And it was all because he took this money to get in the room with the right people who then made him a partner. But it wasn't just getting in the room.
Well, results never come from passive activities. You know what I mean? Like there's never a time where short of like quite literally getting a scratch off or putting money in a slot machine, if you look at success for any person in your life, however they define it, none of them say, well, there I was sitting on the couch when all of a sudden Grandpa died and I was rich.
You could just see that. Speaking of scratch off, look at how much success do you see in their life from lottery winners?
Well, yeah.
After they win the lottery, you just don't see it.
Yeah. Everything that is successful or everyone that's successful, generally speaking, have some sort of action associated with it. You can't pay that $50,000 and go, now I would like all of this energy to come my way by standing here. To your point, that's a ticket into the room to do the action, to go meet the introductions, right, to go close the deal, to ask for the business, to do whatever.
It's the fee to get on the starting line, not the finish line.
Yeah. And you still have to freaking run. You can't, you're not going to win the medal. I don't know. We're just mixing a bunch of metaphors here, but I think
you're not going to sail the boat into
you are not going to, sink the ship with the torpedo after making the 3-point goal
inside the box
yes.
Win-win for everybody.
Synergy.
I want to flip this a little bit because I love where Charlotte goes next with this because, we're talking about this woman who's in her early 20s, Nicole, saves $100,000. What if you're not that person? What if you're driving down the road right now or walking the dog and you're like, yeah, okay, I missed that one. Like that is not me. She then writes, even if you miss the boat on investing heavily in your early 20s, it's not too late. I love that sentence. Delianne Barros, a former lawyer, didn't get serious about her finances until she was 37. Quote, at that point, I'd been an attorney for 14 years and I couldn't even afford to buy a home. I'd done everything I was supposed to. I put myself through school. I got the job. I was making 6 figures, but there I was still with $150,000 in student loans, feeling stuck and behind. Well, listen to this. Luckily, she'd been contributing small amounts to her 401k since she was 28. The HR manager told me to sign up for it. So I put in about $100 a month at first. Then I basically ignored it. 8 years later, she logged in. I love that she didn't log in for 8 years, by the way. She didn't log in. There was almost $100,000 in there. She was like, what the hell? Whatever this is, it works. And it's exactly, Doug, what you were talking about, the quote, discipline. The discipline is setting it up and not touching it. And there it is. Seeing her money's growth then encouraged her to make a plan. And this is why, OG, I think that speaking of analogies, the analogy you use all the time about putting on the shoes to go to the gym is the hard part, right? Now that she's seeing some results, she's starting to get excited. So she cut her living expenses drastically, threw the kitchen sink at her debt. Within a year, she paid off all her student loans. and she turned her focus toward investing as much as she could. I went from, oh, I can be debt free to realizing, oh, I can save enough money and I can never have to worry about saving money again. She had strong motivation. She hated her job, wanted to change careers, and she hit it. By the time she was 41 years old, she moved to Portugal, hit her coast fire number. They call this coast fire, by the way. I've avoided that term because I can't stand these terms, but that means she doesn't have to save anymore. She has $400,000 in her 401k. She calculates that'll grow to 2.7 million in 25 years, which is enough. But to your point, OG, she's still saving and investing aggressively so she can fund her mom's retirement as well as her own. She's bringing people with her. Pretty kick-ass.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, the best time to start was 10 years ago. And the second best time is right this minute. I think a lot of people look at where they are and say, my goodness, I should have done this before. And I'm way behind and I'm down in the dumps and woe is me. And the reality is like, yeah, you're right. Absolutely. If you'd have done this when you were 25, you would be in a way different spot, but you didn't. And so now you can do something about it today and recognize that that power of compounding still works. Warren Buffett made 95% of his money after he was 50. I mean, he started with 70 million when he was 50. So, okay, that's cool. But, you know, that's, and now he's like 95 and kind of doesn't do a lot with it. So that doesn't really do you a lot of good at 95, but there's still plenty of time. And maybe you work a few extra years, or maybe you cut back your living expenses and save a little bit between now and then or whatever to make it work.
Yeah, to your point, you are where you are.
You are where you are. Just get after it.
We will dive more into finding ways to not just grow your savings, but maybe if you're into that, stopping saving, or at least giving yourself the comfort that you can stop saving in our 201 newsletter, which comes out tomorrow. What's that, OG?
If you're into that sort of thing.
That's what I was thinking.
Not saving.
Is that like a kink
whatever
now?
that might be.
It's like, oh, you're one of those. You go to these special parties, do you?
They call it Coast Fi. I call it a furry. We should make up our own names for all this stuff. We should totally. I hate these. You know, they got all these fires. Coast Fire. I like Dumpster Fire. I thought that was good. Doc G had one. People that listen to our live from Camp Fi, I heard him say this one. What do you call it when you're financially independent, but you're not really sure what the point is?
Lost Fi.
That's called Wi-Fi.
Oh, Wi-Fi. Ah, clever.
Of course. Yes. See what Doc did there?
Wow.
But anyway, that's in the 201 newsletter tomorrow. StackingBenjamins.com/201 gets you our free newsletter twice a week. Coming up next, TikTok Minute. We might be continuing this conversation because one comedian's talking about compounding interest, which really factored into this idea of Coast Fi today. But before we get there, Doug, it is an important day today, and look at that smile on your face, man. You're excited about this one.
Sure am. Hey there, Stackers. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug. And remember back on Monday when I said that pigs would fly and Oasis would get back together? Well, guess what? Oasis is back together. I'm getting tickets for Joe's mom before she flips out and tries to buy them again from that scalper. I didn't go that well that last time. For the scalper. I mean, after he told her how much tickets to Motley Crue were going to be, that guy never saw her handbag coming. She's like a cowboy with that thing. Luckily, no charges were filed, and she got us a great price on fourth row seats. Motley Crue was amazing. Here's the bad news. While tickets look like they're going for $185, after Ticketmaster charges, they're going to cost like $1 bazillion. Seriously, a convenience fee to deliver tickets electronically? Ticketmaster was created on today's date way back in 1976, and that's also the day I knew the devil was real. And he is Ticketmaster. So while Ticketmaster is...
You're scaring the kids.
That's the devil's voice.
Is that?
Ticketmaster. So while Ticketmaster is stealing my Benjamins again, Oasis is touring, and today is also the anniversary of their iconic album, What's the Story? Morning Glory, which sold an incredible 347,000 copies the first week it was released. So let's make Oasis, and not Ticketmaster, the subject of today's trivia question. How do the two founding members of Oasis know each other? That's the question. I'll be back right after I say that maybe you're going to be the one that saves me. You know, if I have to buy these tickets for Joe's mom. Please be my wonder wall, or, just a wall, between me and her. Hey there, Stackers. I'm your Wonderwall and Champagne Supernova, Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug. I just looked up what a Champagne Supernova is, and apparently since Oasis made this song, one of the only songs they've reportedly played every show, bartenders have named drinks after it, and astronomers have also changed names of stellar activity because of it. Now, if they'd only recognized the brilliance going on down here in the basement, we'd probably have, like, Natty Light Casanova. That'd be special.
That would be us.
Also my nickname in college. Here's today's quiz question. Benjamin Stackers, or maybe Pound Stackers, because Oasis are headed back on tour, and they're from Britain, so Pound Stackers. Anyways, how do the two founders know each other? Well, they're brothers, and they just love each other all the time. They never get in arguments. They just love being with each other. Always have. Anyway, for the longest time, they refused to play on the same stage ever again. Probably because one of them got a better Christmas gift from mom and dad, or I don't know. Until someone apparently offered them enough money. Wow, it's weird how that happens.
Huh.
Offer somebody a whole bunch of money, and then they're like, they love each other again. And now, let's get back to Joe and OG. I think Joe finally offered OG enough money. They've kissed and made up.
It's so funny how easy it is to hug it out when the money's flowing.
When there's a big bag of cash between you.
I remember in college, I worked at this water treatment company. We were selling water softeners. It sounds much better if I say water treatment company, but the company sold water softeners. And they would go around the state of Michigan, and you get to these places where invariably it was difficult to sell stuff. And oh my God, Doug, the mood shift of the entire operation got really bad. And everybody was just waiting 2 weeks until we got to this one town where every time our salespeople went through that town selling water softeners, they'd sell like hotcakes. And so we go through the valley of death for a couple of weeks. Everybody's angry. People, threats of people getting fired. And then all of a sudden it was just so happy because the money was flowing.
Got it. So they were just walking the streets of Flint?
Yes. Just selling water softeners. Is it too soon for that joke? Is it? I think it very well might be. Hey, time for our TikTok minute. Let's go from one bad joke maybe to another one. Who knows? Because these creators on TikTok, they're either doing stuff that is really, really good or air quotes, really, really good. We often see a lot of the second there, the air quotes. But Doug, on today's, is this comedian going to be bringing it or air quotes bringing it?
Now, comedians are usually the oracles of our generation. Like, they can say the things that nobody else can say. So there's always truth buried in there. I think this is going to be philosophically brilliant.
Well, this is Stacker John, by the way, sent this to me. This is comedian Greg Warren. So let's hear if Greg is bringing it today.
And then they start yelling at me about compounding interest, which I don't know. If I would have known about it, I probably would have compounded some, but I didn't know about it. Greg, you don't understand compounding interest. You got to start saving when you're young because you get interest, then you get interest on the interest, then you get interest on that interest that you got interest on. It's like, Greg, you got to understand the math. I'm like, well, Marty, you got to understand the physics. I can't go back and do that, all right? You know what's compounding right now? The consequences for my poor decisions in life. They're piling up.
I love how Greg Warren, I don't know if you guys have seen him before, but he's fantastic. He usually does really good crowd work too. Just the stuff he says people in his audiences. But OG, once again, I mean, not to take Greg's funniness about the consequences of his bad actions having consequences, having interest. Not too late to change. You don't have to be who you were yesterday.
That's right.
Time for us now to turn the channel over to a stacker who said, you know what? I better call Saul-Sehy and OG. This is part of the show where we help a stacker in need head to stackingbenjamins.com/voicemail if you've got a question for OG and I, and maybe, depending on the day, Doug also.
OG and me.
Me, B, and OG, and the Doug. stackingbenjamins.com/voicemail. And you know what? For your effort, we're going to send you a Greatest Money Show on Earth t-shirt from Stacking Benjamins. But today we are going to answer a question from Nick. Hey, Nick.
Show OG and soon to be President-elect Doug. I have a question on disability insurance policies that I'm struggling to find unbiased, trustworthy information sources. Thanks, Evil Financial Planning Mutual Company. For background, I'm a physician in residency with a current own occupation policy with benefit at $2,500 a month with one of the big five, but it can only increase using a rider up to $7,500 once residency is complete. I'm coming to the end of my military career, officially civilian in 28 days, looking to short my disability insurance. My residency program has a GSI of an additional $2,500 at no cost, but I have no clue if I'll stay at this hospital after 3 years, so it might just disappear. The broker I've spoken to is heavily encouraging a brand new own occupation policy with a different one of the big five companies to allow me to increase to a higher total amount after I finish residency, but this will be a whole new underwriting process and another monthly bill. Anything in particular you'd recommend considering? P.S. I'm in Philly and not an Eagles fan. The disability insurance is a must.
Thanks, Nick, by the way, and thanks for your service, Nick. Yeah, in Eagles country, OG, where what the dude hit the cop's horse. Remember that? He slugged the cops. He took his fist.
Probably didn't end well for him.
And walloped a horse. Yeah, that didn't end well. But that's your local Philadelphia fan right there. They get a little crazy.
They call them the Fanatics.
PH fanatic.
That's right.
Disability insurance. Nick, I'm so glad you called about this because this is one of the most important issues out there. Disability coverage. People don't like to think about what happens if you get disabled. So I think this is very proactive of you to think about. But OG, we don't have a dog in this fight. What do you think?
Well, just to kind of dovetail on what you said, I think the term even helps people willfully disregard it because they're like disabled. I'm, that's a different class of people, right? Like a classification of people.
It's not me.
Like disabled people. That's not me. I'm fully able, or whatever. And it's like, no, it means illness or injury. So if we change the name of it, instead of calling it disability insurance, say we should have insurance in case of illness or injury. I think a lot of people go, yeah, there's a good chance I'll be sick. Some chance I'll be sick for a really long time. And there's some chance I'll have an injury, whether it's a short-term injury or long-term injury. I can get behind the idea that there might be a car wreck that, makes it so I can't go to the office for a while or do my job. So generally speaking, when it comes to disability insurance, what we recommend is quite literally get as much as you can the first go around, as well as any benefits as it relates to optional increases that you can lock in contractually. So Nick mentioned a thing here, what's called like a future purchase option, basically saying, hey, my benefit right now is this, but as my income increases, I can go get that extra amount that I'm already approved for once my income supports that extra approval, if that makes sense. So disability insurance is largely underwritten or decided based on your current income and your current benefits. So let's say that you have a job that pays $100,000 a year and your company gives you a 60% group disability benefit, right? So if you get sick or hurt, your company's going to give you 60 grand, but you normally make 100. So you go, oh crap, there's a gap there. So now you go out and get your own disability for maybe 20,000 because you can't get all of your money paid in disability for obvious reasons. And
it's funny because this wasn't obvious to me at first. I was like, why can't you get it all? And then the person that was telling,
my back.
The person that was telling me this story was like, how many disability claims would there be if you could get 100% of your pay?
Yeah,
a lot.
But there's some taxation there. So let's say that in this example, you get a 60% group benefit, and you say, I'm going to go get one for 20,000. And that gets me to 80, which is pretty close to my after-tax number take home, so I'm kind of whole, so to speak, if I get sick or hurt from a financial standpoint. You want to also have some sort of guarantee that, hey, next year I get a pay raise and 5 years from now, I'm going to be making twice as much money. I get a promotion. So the insurance company says, all right, we're going to approve you for $20,000 a year benefit now and up to another $10,000 once your income can rise to meet that, right? So maybe you have to make $140,000 to get that other 30, if that makes sense, right? And so you just send a pay stub to the insurance company and say, hey, here's my new pay stub. Can I get some of that extra 10 that I was already approved for? It does increase your premium.
It's like just sitting there in reserve, like in a
so you don't have to go through all the health stuff. You don't have to do anything. You're already approved for it. You have to prove financial insurability, not medical insurability, if that helps kind of clear it up. So you go, cool, I make the money. They're going to adjust your premium. I go, well, now if we're giving you a $30,000 a year benefit, that's going to be a higher premium. You're like, all right, cool.
Well, but hold on a second though. Just a question about that before you go further. Yeah. Is that premium increase already in stone in the contract? Do I know ahead of time what this cost per thousand or whatever is going to be?
Generally speaking, yes. Generally speaking, it's already kind of pre-written in, and it's approved based on your underwriting that you did, 5 years ago, or whenever you originally did this. So it's already kind of there for you to draw from, and they can't go, oh, you want another 10,000? Well, that's going to be 40 grand.
Costly.
No, It's already in there, in terms of their calculations. That's generally the best option. Now, what happens if all of a sudden you go from making 140 grand a year to now you're the CFO and you make 750 a year? Or in Nick's case, he was a medical doctor and he's a physician for the Army and he's making 100 grand a year, and now he's a physician outside the Army making 700,000 a year.
Bam.
Right? A huge increase. So now you have to go get something new. There's just not a way to take what you already have and build it up to the number you need. Every company. And once you get to these like really big dollar amounts, like physician dollar amounts or executive CEO dollar amounts, every company has a maximum, $20,000 a month max. And you go, geez, that's a lot of money. Well, not if you're making $1 million a year. It's not.
Right.
If you're making $1 million a year, $20,000 a month benefits like 25% of your income. That's a pretty crappy replacement rate, right? You and me would be like, sweet,
yeah.
my back,
immediately,
if that's your lifestyle. So the first step for Nick is take advantage of all the options that you already have in terms of increasing what you have, because that's already kind of guaranteed, right? If you have a huge increase in your compensation, you're going to have to go shop it and you're going to have to go find another carrier. You may be able to get a bigger policy with your existing carrier, and they may give you some sort of benefit for already being a customer. That benefit could be an easier underwriting process. It could be a little love on the premium because you've already been a customer. You might end up with 2 policies from the same company. You've got the one that you've had for 10 years and now you get another one that's brand new. You may have to find one that's completely unrelated company altogether. And if your income is such that it's so big, you may end up with several different companies' policies. And then there's another tier of this altogether, which is basically a second layer that sometimes you hear the term reinsurance. It's basically the next layer of disability coverage when you get to some really high income numbers, because a lot of the companies just go, look, we're maxed out at 20K. We're maxed out to 25K a month. You make $1 million a year. We can't insure that, or we're not interested in insuring it. And so there's secondary and third level carriers that will get those kind of that last 10%, that last 20% that you could buy. But you're right. At every level, you're going to go up. You're going up in premium for 2 reasons. One, you're buying a crap load more. Your benefit right now is $2,500 and you're trying to get $25,000.
Yeah.
It's, look at the math. You're getting a 10x benefit. Your premium will respond accordingly. And secondly, you're older. So insurance is largely based on your age. And God forbid you have actually any existing injuries, right? You have back problems or shoulder surgery or carpal tunnel or arthritis or whatever. The insurance company is going to go, well, we'll insure you, but we're not going to insure you for your shoulder. If you get an injury in your shoulder and can't work, well, that's already there. We're not paying for that. The older you go, the more likely it is to have some very specific restrictions around some maladies that you might already have. So disability is one of these things that feels like, I'll get life insurance. That's cheaper. I agree, life insurance is cheaper, but why is it less expensive? It's less expensive because it's less likely to happen. Why is it that I can go buy $2 million a 20-year term at 30 years old for $80 a month, But if I want to buy a $5,000 a month disability policy at 30 years old, it costs me $3,000 a year. You go, well, wait, hold on, why does this cost so well? It costs so much because the likelihood of it happening is so much greater. Obviously, the older you get, the higher likelihood of your death, right? So this inverse thing happens. It's the same thing with car insurance and home insurance. Why is your car insurance half or a third of what your home insurance is, despite the fact that your car is
your
worth...
homeowners is a half to a
Oh,
third.
sorry, yeah,
you flip that around. Yeah,
that's exactly right. Your house insurance is way less, despite being worth 3, 4, 5, 10x your car. Because
for most of us,
maybe not those folks on the other side of the Arkansas line, if you know what I mean. Bada ding, 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 ding. But you know what I'm talking about, right? So it's all based on probability and magnitude. That's how insurance is priced. What's the likelihood of the event happening, and what's the financial outcome if it does happen? Insurance companies are regulated pretty severely, so it's not like they're just making it up, right? There's some math behind this, and if
that's why when I see people online saying, "Oh, they're ripping you off with that premium," I'm like, these are state regulated.
Yeah, the problem with the insurance companies, especially around property casualty insurance and all the news kind of different tier here, but it's because of the regulation that it feels so severe, because it takes so long to get the regulatory agencies to approve an increase, that the increase has to be so dramatic. That's why we're seeing 30, 40, 50% increases in some areas, because it's taken them so long to get the approval to do a 5% increase. It's like, well, now I need 10. Well, now I need 20. Now I need 25. It's like, you guys have taken so long, and then they finally approve it. And it's like a 40% increase. Well, that's 8 years worth of 5% increases, plus, destruction of hurricanes and whatnot that, really factors. So anyways, back to the disability thing. Take as much as you can get with the policy that you have, and then feel free to shop it for the difference. As you're looking at that, own occupation is a benefit that you want to have added to your policy. You want to add another future purchase option. So like, even if you're like, cool, I'm making $700,000 a year as this, fancy doctor now, or whatever your number is, and this is the most they'll give me. See if they'll give you an opportunity to get more down the line, because they'll increase their limits also, right? They might be 20,000 right now, but in 15 years from now, they might go to 30.
Could be different.
You want to get that as well. And then the other big thing is you want to add some inflation protection to the benefit. So
that's a big one.
If the benefit kicks on, you want that number to increase with inflation as the years go on. That's kind of an automatic thing. Those are really the biggest thing. And then the own occupation benefit is really going to be the most.
That is huge. That's where I think this insurance salesman gets it right, because he said the insurance salesman really wants him to have own occupation.
Yeah, 100%.
Own occupation means that the insurance company can't say, well, you're not completely disabled, you could do this other job.
Yeah. I know you can't be a doctor, but you could mow lawns.
Yeah.
Why don't you go do that job? It's like, well, because I'm not trained to, that's my training is to be a doctor, not to be a landscape architect.
Yeah, own occupation, very important on a disability policy. Nick, thanks so much for the question. We are sending you out some swag, my friend, so you can brag to all your friends that you were on the Stacking Benjamin show.
Mm-hmm.
And
all your patients.
Yes. Yeah. Wear it in the room. Forget about that smock. Just wear the Doug 2024.
You know how good that looks with scrubs? I've tried it before. The Doug 2024 shirt and scrubs.
Just wear it over your scrubs.
Yeah.
Wear it out on the street.
That's Doug's kink. He wears scrubs with his Doug 2024 shirt in every romantic moment that he has with himself.
What?
Sorry.
How did we get here?
I don't know. StackingBenjamins.com/voicemail gets you on the show. Thanks for everybody who's called in. By the way, thanks to everybody also who's left us reviews of this podcast. It's so nice to see people talking about the show. A great one we just got, guys, was a listener talking about how invigorating. They use the word invigorating.
Oof.
Stacking Benjamins, invigorating.
Apropos.
Every Monday, Wednesday, Friday morning.
Like a slap to the face right when you wake up.
It's great.
Just invigorating.
That'd be a great review. Like a slap in the face every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. 5 stars. That'd be fabulous. I love those reviews. Remember, we've had some of those that are just great. Like these, I don't understand why I like these people, but like if you read the review, you would think it's awful, and it's 5 stars. But anyway, thank you for telling your friends about us. Thank you for all the nice notes people send me. I really appreciate it. If you're the kind of person that will help a stranger that you don't know, leave a review for them to help their project, like this project for us. You're our kind of people.
We got another note from a listener I'd love to talk about on the back porch, Joe. When can we go to the back porch?
Well, I think I accidentally transitioned there just now. I should say this before we go to the back porch. If you're not here because you're worried about disability coverage, you're here because you're worried about your overall financial plan. Head to stackingbenjamins.com/OG because OG and his team are taking clients for a little while longer here in 2024. So if you procrastinated this long, it's time to get your plan in order. stackingbenjamins.com/OG gets you to OG and his team's calendar. That's the first step. But on the back porch, Doug, something that isn't in the notes, I'm looking at the notes that you and I share. I am headed last minute to Cleveland tomorrow. I will be at Bookhouse Brewing, same place we met, Clevelandites, Cleveland Donuses, Cleveland cleavages. We're coming back to Bookhouse Brewing. We had such a great time. Heck, both times I was there, we've had a great time. But anyway, I was there this summer, going back to visit some family members. So stackingbenjamins.com/meetup. And tomorrow night, Cleveland, let's party at Bookhouse Brewing. I love that place. Just such a cool little microbrewery. Good beers. Anyway, I had that one. Doug, you said we got a great note from somebody.
Yeah, we did. I'm going to read it to you. Here it is. At the end of SB 1576, I love when people actually use the episode numbers because it just looks so badass. 1,576 episodes.
Flex.
Hoorah. Anyway, at the end of SB 1576, OG had said that he didn't think that there was a recording of the Dallas Dave Matthews concert. Oh, my friend, there is. You can find it and almost every DMB show at www.antsmarching.org. If he saw them this year, here's the direct link, and he puts that in there for OG. Not all shows here are the greatest quality, but it's better than nothing. For the hardcore DMB fans, you can set up a free account and track all of the shows you've been to. It'll then break down what songs you've heard in all sorts of fun ways. And if you want to really go down a concert rabbit hole, you can check out setlist.fm. Here they have set lists for all sorts of artists. I find it handy when I go to a show and hear a song that I've never heard of. But if you set up a free account, you can track all sorts of stuff here too, with venues you've been to the most and what songs you've heard multiple times and what artists you've seen multiple times, etc. Ain't the internet grand? Keep stacking those Benjamins. Tyler. I think that was Tyler, the Creator. Might have been.
Tyler, thanks so much. Oh, gee, you could see all of the concerts.
Well, you're missing the follow-up to that. Of course, I wrote him back right away and said, get the stacker a t-shirt. Tina sent him a code for a t-shirt. So he's right. The quality is not that great.
I can't believe
I didn't even know it existed.
Yeah, I can't believe you didn't know it existed, though, because, I mean, that's kind of DMB's thing. Like, they're totally good with bootlegs. They almost took the market away just by, we're like, sure. In fact, they took one. I thought they even published it as a CD way back in the day. It was a Red Rocks concert that I had. I had the disc for that at Red Rocks. It was amazing. But yeah, they're like, sure, bootleg all you want. We don't care.
Did you also, Doug, know, as I was doing research on Oasis, you and I both did research for today's trivia question. Did you know, though, that one of your favorite artists appears on, I think, Champagne Supernova?
Yeah, he's been pretty tightly intertwined. This is Paul Weller that Joe's talking about, has been pretty tightly intertwined with Oasis almost since day one, helping to produce a number of their albums, and they've guested on some of his stuff. There's a whole connection there. Yep.
It's funny how, as you get to know music, like, you know, the bands, but sometimes the people behind the bands, right? Like, you know, Brian Eno is a name a lot of people don't know. And you and I were talking about Daniel Lanois previously. Like, these are names that a lot of people don't know, but when you see that name, you go, ooh, like, you know, almost like the wine connoisseur, like the music connoisseur goes, oh, Brian Eno was involved. I will almost puppet master in some cases.
Right. Yeah. The common thread.
So Peter Weller, the puppet master for Oasis, we could call him that.
Peter Weller. Yeah. Peter
Bill
Weller.
Weller.
Yeah. Peter Weller from, I think, wasn't he Freddy Krueger?
Terminator.
Or Terminator, whatever. Yeah. No.
Wrong one.
All I think of as Weller is the bourbon.
The bourbon. Yeah. The overpriced bourbon. I mean, did I say that out loud? It's pretty good. It's okay.
Anyway, I think that's a sign it's time for us to wrap this up, Doug. Coming up on Friday, by the way, big news out of one of the financial companies. It turns out that they've got a ton of hidden fees. I'll let you guys guess which financial company that we may have complained about in the past maybe has some hidden fees. We're going to talk about hidden fees and hidden cost in your life. There are times, OG, where it's quote unquote free, and yet there's hidden cost. Maybe not in terms of a fee, but it might cost you in terms of service, lifestyle, whatever that is. Jen Smith from Frugal Friends joins us. The retirement answer man, Roger Whitney, joins us. And of course, OG and Doug will be here on Friday. So going to have a lot of time. Join us then. Doug, man, this episode jam-packed. Going to be hard to pick three, but what do you think our top three things are that we need on our to-do list today?
I'll take a stab at it, Joe. First, take some advice from our headline. Want to coast into retirement? Get moving. You may be closer than you think, but give yourself some wiggle room, huh? Second, compounding interest? Yeah, that's a thing. It's a thing. Bad decisions? Those also compound. So get moving, stacker. But the big lesson? Joe's mom says we should skip the Oasis concert because it turns out after Ticketmaster fees, we could probably buy a small village somewhere with those dollars. What a smart lady. This show is the property of SB Podcasts, LLC, copyright 2024, and is created by Joe Saul-Sehy. Joe gets help from a few of our neighborhood friends. You'll find out about our awesome team at stackingbenjamins.com, along with the show notes and how you can find us on YouTube and all the usual social media spots. Come say hello. Oh yeah, and before I go, not only should you not take advice from these nerds, don't take advice from people you don't know. This show is for entertainment purposes only. Before making any financial decisions, speak with a real financial advisor. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug, and we'll see you next time back here at the Stacking Benjamin Show.
You guys have referenced my trip to Peru, and while we'll save the big...
Thankfully, thank you.
Yeah, we'll save all that for the Stacking Adventure show. So our new sister show, Crystal Hammond and I do. Go ahead over there because I'll save you guys from that.
The Stacking Adventure show, OG, has really been the best thing that's happened to you and I.
Yes.
Because it gives Joe an outlet. It's like porn for Joe.
Did I tell you about?
Right. And then you and I don't have to deal with it.
I will say this. This was not a frugal adventure. We used Adventures by Disney again. OG, I texted you because you still have kids in the age range that people use a lot of times Adventures by Disney. We were on an adults only one. There were no kids on this particular adventure. But both couples we were with were like, if I had ever heard of this, if I knew Disney had this, we would have totally done this with our kids. It is not cheap, but it is vacation of a lifetime material. Before that began, we went to this wonderful restaurant in Lima called Astrid and Gaston, rated as one of the top 50 restaurants on earth. And it was, get this, guys, it was 14 courses. 14 courses.
No, I'm listening.
The meal lasted 4.5 hours, which sounds long, but when you're in it the way we were in it, and they were keeping us entertained, and there were 4 of us. The woman we were with, Jenny, looks at her watch and goes, "Oh my God, we were here almost 4.5 hours." Like, holy cow! But wonderful, wonderful food. But they tricked us. So they come out with this thing, this little square. It looks like duck. They pair it with a nice wine. The duck has escargot on top and some other things. And then it's on a little round, very thin, dark taco. And they go, this is our tribute to the Peking duck. We're like, oh my God, I love Peking duck. This is going to be fantastic. And the guy was just pick it up with your hands, eat it like taco. Okay. So we all pick it up, we eat it. Delicious, delicious duck. The waiter comes by and he goes, how'd you like our tribute to the Peking duck? We go, oh, it was fantastic. He goes, I'm really not that into tricking people, but notice I kept saying tribute to, because what you just ate was guinea pig. And we go, oh my God, it tasted just like diet. It was so good.
Meanwhile, Johnny's in the corner crying for his pet.
Right. Were there little bits of cedar shavings mixed in before that little bit of grit, that crunch that you normally get in Peking duck?
It was so delicious. The second time I had it on purpose because I liked it so much the first time. Our first day
Slaughter another pet, Joe. Not coming over to my kid's house.
Our first day with Disney, they did some of that traditional South American cooking where they put these rocks over a flame for a long time and get them up to like 1,200 degrees. Then they have that pit in the ground. You guys may have seen this on chef shows before from South America. They'll then put the stones in the pit, and they put the traditional things, chicken and beef, but they also then put guinea pig, cuy, and they put vegetables and all kinds of stuff. They bury it. They bury the entire pit. And then they show us this traditional show of stuff for 45 minutes while our food's cooking. It was really neat. They dig then it all back up and it was delicious. It was
dirt food. It sounds delicious.
Boy, sounds worth paying for, Joe.
Ah, you're selling it. So I got to eat 2 pets and mouthful of sand for dinner.
You guys thought Bambi was bad. What's Disney doing now? That's their next hit movie.
Finding Nemo. You can't find him because we ate him.
Unbelievable.